Okay, here you are with the unladylike opinions. In this episode, the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season 2, episode 3, Fishing for the Truth. So here we go. The episode starts off with Meredith FaceTiming with Seth, and he says he was meeting a couple of people but wanted to focus on her for a second. Then he asks her, was those her real eyes, because he never paid attention and he always looked at the investment on her chest. See, this is why people think y'all relationship is fake and y'all just together for the kids, because how you been with, they've been together for a long time and you never looked in her eyes? I don't understand. So then we got, Heather, and she is going over, things with her business partner at her beauty bar, and she says that because of the pandemic and people having to be on Zoom calls all the time, they saw a lot of their flaws or whatever, so they want, fix their flaws. So her business has increased and it has doubled the amount she made last year, because a lot of people want to get Botox and all that because they don't want what they see in the mirror to be seen on the camera or whatever. So then she FaceTime Whitney and tell her about her meeting with Jen, and she says that they yelled, screamed at each other, they made up, and now they're best friends again. Then the look on Whitney's face said it all, and she said, oh geez, it was the same look I had on mine. With the falling out like they had, I could not just go back to being best friends with somebody. Nah, we could be cool, we could be cordial, but just like hanging tight like we was, no ma'am, no ham, no turkey, nah, I can't do it. So Heather asks Whitney what is she gonna do about Jen, and Whitney says that they had such a bad time last year, but they kind of resolved things, and Heather thinks Jen is in a good place, and that Whitney says she would give it a shot. And I'm like, Jen had these girls under her control, boy. They stay kissing up Jen. So Jen and Lisa arrive to go ski biking, and she says how she is from Hawaii and she is not good at winter sports, but she would look better than Lisa does doing it. So they go ski biking down the hill, and Jen busts her ass, and Lisa is just having the time of her life. And then they go sit down to talk about, Sharif, and she says how Sharif's been under her for a while, like, since the pandemic. He's been at home a lot, but now he's finna go out, doing his scouting, and how she's gonna miss him. And she says how all he was doing was, just finding little projects and fixing things around the house. And I'm like, blah 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 blah. So Jen says she wants to put together an adventure outing for all the girls, and she tells Lisa that she needs her statistics from her weight, her height, eye color, hair color, and her full name on the ID. And she was like, I'm not stealing your identity, no. You mean like you stole them old elderly women money and stuff? Lisa, I keep an eye on Jen, because boy, I swear these jokes just be writing themselves. Jen just keep digging herself in a bigger hole. So she says that they're going ice fishing, and she tells Lisa not to tell the other girls because she doesn't want them to like chicken out or whatever. So she told her she needs her weight and stuff, because they're gonna be standing on the ice. Well, that ain't got nothing to do with your eye color and hair color. But okay, Jen. So Lisa asks who all was invited, and she tell her, Whitney, Heather, Mary, and Jeannie, and she said she hasn't heard from Meredith. And Lisa said she's glad she invited Meredith, and she hopes they get on track. And Jen says yet again that she has apologized multiple times, and every time Meredith has a new reason she has to apologize for. Well, if you stop liking negative stuff on Twitter about her family, you wouldn't have to keep apologizing. I just don't understand. So Jen says she's talked to Heather and they had a great conversation, and in her confessional, Lisa says that she doesn't understand Heather's and Jen's relationship because they both hate each other, and they both have a weird attraction to each other at the same time. And she says she doesn't want to have a relationship like that. Well, Lisa, that's the same thing they've been telling you about your relationship with Jen, and you swear you don't understand, but Jen, you say the exact same thing that they've been telling you about yours. Make it make sense, Lisa. And so she just saying it because Lisa doesn't really like Heather. And anything Heather, she's going to have something negative to say about it. So Lisa tells Jen that Heather is completely manipulative and Whitney just loves to have a problem with her. And Jen says she wants people to love her like she love her and take the high road. Jen, take your own advice from now on. You talking about a high road, the way you go to hell when somebody go with you. You don't take the high road. So Mary and her son and that god awful wig go out to eat, and he's getting ready to eat his food, and she stops him and asks him did he bless his food. And then she says in her confessional that she loves her son, but he gets on her last nerve. But they have a good bond and they talk about anything. And here she goes telling him another thing about, sexual things. She was telling him to wear a condom, and just because they look pretty don't mean they are pretty on the inside. Now, don't get me wrong, I had those conversations with my kids too, not in depth like that or whatever, but I do, have a good relationship with my boys, and I make sure I constantly, tell them about, good and bad things about life or whatever. And Mary just dramatic with it, and I know her son be like, Lord have mercy. So she makes him bless the food, and when he does, she keep wanting him to get louder and louder. And I'm like, how loud you want him to get in these people's establishment? So she asked him if he wants to move out and why, and he says for his independence and his mental health. I can only imagine, because your mama is mental. And so she asked him how is he gonna pay his rent, and he says he not sure. And she says that is when you can come and go as you please when you are paying your own bills. She asks if he wants to go to the army so it can give him more energy and not be lazy like these other teenagers that play video games all day. So she says he is going to the army because that's what his great granddaddy slash father, because I don't care what you say, that's still his great granddaddy, step great granddaddy, because she married her grandmama husband. I ain't gonna never leave that down. So she says, yeah, he's going because that's what his dad did. And she tries to beg him to go to the military. And every time she asks him a question, his answer is always, I don't know, I'm not sure. So obviously he don't want to talk to you about this. So then we get to Jeannie. And the only good thing that I like about Jeannie so far is her daughter. Her daughter is funny, and she's like the life of their house or whatever. And the science experiments that they're doing, like, that's real fun, because I do that with me and my youngest used to do that all the time, whatever. So then Jenny's husband says that the kids are so good that they need another one, and he wants more kids. And then Jenny finally tells us in her confessional the reason why she doesn't want any more kids. She said she wanted a big family, but she had 9 miscarriages and 3 C-sections. She says her doctor told her it was very dangerous for her to have more kids. And I'm like, oh, 9 miscarriages? Like, and for him to keep asking her that, and he knows this, that is just terrible for him to keep pushing her to have more kids. And he knows that, it's not good for her to have anymore. And he acting like he don't have any kids at all. And she says she's older and he knows she can't have any more. And he's talking about he looked into it and there are solutions. And I'm like, he is a doctor and he know how dangerous this is. I just don't understand. So she tells him that she does not want to talk about it anymore. And he says, okay. And then they leave that conversation alone. So Heather is talking with her daughter, and her 15-year-old is over there trying on her ballet shoes and, doing her little ballet moves. And they got their ones on or whatever. I love me some good sneakers, especially Jordan 1s. Those one of my favorite. And so Heather says that she wants her daughter, when she go away to college, to get book wild. Say if she's going to make mistakes, she might well make them while she's young and in college. I'm so glad I don't have any girls, because I don't want my boys going out there being book wild. I can only imagine how it would be if I had a daughter. So she asks her daughter if she see herself going back to church while she's away at college. And she says she never wants to go back to a Mormon church. And Heather says that she's impressed that she has that so much conviction at her age, because she didn't have that option or a choice to make on what church she wanted to go to. So one daughter is worried because they haven't been to church. With the middle daughter is worried because they haven't been to church in a long time. And Heather says that after she got divorced, she was trying to look like the perfect Mormon mom, but they started asking questions, and she said she was forced to be honest and answer those questions. So the youngest daughter was like, she wants to go back, but she feels like it's too late. And Heather say, it's never too late, and if you want to go back, I will go with you. And it's not because I believe in it, it's only because I support you, and you wouldn't have to do anything alone. And I respected that. So at Meredith's house, she's getting ready to preview her new clothing line with her favorite designers, and they asked Mary in her confessional what she think about Meredith's clothes, and Meredith had the nerve to say, they're very Meredith. Like, Mary, you can't talk about nobody. I mean, nobody wardrobe. I mean, not a word in that confessional. Look like you got mad cow disease. So Mary sits down, and Mary sits down with Meredith, and she sits down with Brooke first, and he tells her about Jen and her Twitter rants or whatever, and Meredith jumps in and talks about how Jen is basically outing Brooks, and Brooks doesn't even know what his sexuality is yet. So Mary says, why haven't you called her yet and asked her why she doing this? And Meredith tells her about the text she got from Jen about going to the outing, and she said that it doesn't sit with her to go to the event. And Mary said, you got the invite, that is your outlet to explain to how she is hurting your family, and to tell her to stop. Then Mary says they have to be silent because she has to poop, and she needs complete silence to do a fart. And then she passes gas and talks about how Jen makes her feel like that. Mary is a nut. And so now we on a lake where Jen little ice fishing adventure. And Whitney said the last time Jen told her she was going to drown her, so she's bringing a life jacket to kind of like break the ice. And Heather says maybe that is what Jen is trying to do, break the ice. And they both are nervous to see Lisa. And Heather says that Lisa was worse to her in her face than Jen was worse to her behind her back. And I'm like, Heather, go ahead. You just basically saying the same thing. But at least Lisa was in your face with it. It's worse when they are behind your back talking noise and then in your face. That's the worst. But Whitney says she thinks Lisa is obsessed and attracted to her. So Jeannie is all in the mix and trying to give her advice on something she knows little about. She only knows one side of it. And wait till she see the real Jen. Ooh, I shook my camera. Wait till she see the real Jen, and she gonna be looking like, oh yeah, y'all was right. So Jen tells the instructor while Whitney and Heather are walking up that Whitney and Heather are a little rowdy, and if she hits on you, they are not responsible for sexual harassment. See, Heather, this is why I don't understand why you keep fooling with Jen and she keep taking these little digs at you. Because, like, well, why would you say that? So Jen talking about she is Zen Jen now, and she doesn't want no problems. Girl, whatever. So Heather says she has to leave early because she has to go introduce her daughter for her last drill showcase. So Whitney asks if Lisa got new medication because Lisa hugged her, and Lisa usually walks past her and snubs her. And so Jen said that Meredith said she isn't available, and Mary said sitting on ice is not her thing, and nor is fishing. And I'm with Mary on that. Now, my daddy used to take me fishing all the time, and when we went in the boat and I almost flipped it over, that was my last time fishing. I ain't been out there since. So so I don't do water or cold. So I never thought I would agree with Mary, but I do. So here come Meredith walking up like she in a wild, wild west on a runway. And I just realized that was a long walk. And even Meredith said if I knew this walk was this long, I wouldn't have came. So Jen's whispered to Heather, and she tells Heather for her to go talk to Meredith. And Heather said, ain't no effing way. And Heather over there fixing Jen makeup, talking about her mom told her to always fight in a full face of makeup and you will always win. Well, my mama told me to use Vaseline so you wouldn't have scars and bruises. So I don't know what you talking about, some full face of makeup. But whatever. So Jen comes over and sits by Meredith, and Lisa asks Meredith if she wanted her to leave, and she says no. So they get into it. Meredith says that she thought about not coming because she didn't want to ruin it for everyone else. So she tells Jen that it's time to address it, and she said she told her not to speak poorly of her family the last time they left everything off at the reunion. You know, she told her, you know, leave my family out of this. So she tells her about the homophobic tweets that Jen likes on Twitter about her son. She said Jen hosted a whole Zoom call with questions about Brooks' sexuality and him coming out. So she was like, enough is enough. This has to stop. Jen says, what are you talking about? She swears she didn't say none of these things. She don't know what's going on. Which, I mean, I don't know why she thought Jen was going to admit to that, especially saying something negative about the LGBTQA plus community, because she don't want that smoke with them people. So Meredith says, you like to come and refer to Brooks as a sissy bitch. And she says, no. And Meredith takes out her phone and she shows her tweet on Twitter, and it has Jen's name right by with the blue check, Jen Shaw. And Jen swears she didn't like it. Meredith says that is one of 20 or 30. Jen says she doesn't run her Twitter, and that wasn't her. And Meredith says it's your Twitter. You are responsible for what is on it. Meredith says she is done and gets up, but Lisa tries to run behind her and get her to calm down and come back. And Meredith storms off, and the other ladies are just sitting there, like Whitney and Hella just sitting there, like, you know, just looking and soaking it all in. And nobody says anything. And I'm like, especially Whitney, you was the one that had the most to say when Meredith, you was agreeing with everything, and then get here and nobody like says anything. So Lisa tries to get Meredith to talk to Jen without everyone else, because she don't want anyone chiming in when it's only Lisa is the only one that has something to say, especially siding with Jen all the time, trying to advocate for Jen. So Jeannie gets her little up talking about she tired of this and they're not listening. She has people, she was like, I have people that run my Twitter too. And Meredith says, so does I. And I tell my people, do not like anything negative about anyone. And Heather tells Jen this is her chance to make peace while Lisa is advocating for her. And Jen over there fake crying, talking about something. She already apologized. I already tried, but you still doing the same things. That's why you keep apologizing. She's still mad. So Jen's holler out, how do you think my kids feel? And Meredith's like, what have I done to your kids? And she's like, Brooks said that he saw parts of a woman that he never seen. And I'm like, just own it and move on. Because how does that negate to you your kids being hurt because you don't want to bust your leg open with a dress on and had your vagina out everywhere? Y'all like it, I love it. So Meredith says she is finished, and Jen would never tell the truth, so she's all about herself. And that was the end of the episode. So like, comment, share, subscribe, or do whatever. Get me out there. And this is my review of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and I will get back to you guys later. Deuces.